Right, hello Wednesday bike clubbers. As I said, it's not a club, it's no cost to join. What are we talking about today? Well, actually it was, do you know what, it's triggered by something somebody said on one of my on the comment on a video. It was a couple of videos ago, it might have been the last Wednesday bike club, and someone said, I don't know how you do it, or some words, I don't know how you do it. You're riding a bike, you're filming a video, you're giving commentary, and you're listening to music. Respect. You know, it's that thing where you get into a zone of doing stuff and you just think, oh yeah, I've got all this energy, I could just do all these things. But that sort of all came crashing down, not literally, but you know, when you suddenly realise you've reached your limit of what you can do, and particularly around riding the bikes, but you realise, no, do you know what, I need to take my own advice and stop doing so much. I don't have the energy for it. I thought we'd have a little chat about that and what I think is my limit. And also just a couple of bits around, because I'm riding the Hunter. I'm out in the Hunter. I just thought I'd grab the Hunter because it's relevant to something that I did this past week, which will come up in a video, so I think you might find it interesting. But it all sort of centres around that last week and what I was doing and, you know, reaching my limit, if you like. But also had a little trip to the Ardennelai Bike Jumble. They call it the bike show, Bike Jumble, isn't it? And a couple of 3 bikes I saw there. I just thought, oh, yeah, that's me all over. But I just thought we'd have a chat around that and while the sun is shining, because we're back into the hot weather again. I don't know if it's heat wave. I've not checked the weather. But I think we're heading back to a little bit of a heat wave or something like that. Come on, that's enough of this blithering. Let's go and find a nice little shady spot to have a chat while I'm out on the Hunter. It's just great, but I love this bike. I really love this bike. Come on. This will do, innit? This is a nice little spot. We're sort of early evening now, we're 5:45. So I suppose, but it's nice, isn't it? Because this time of year, as we sort of getting through summer, you get into that nice sort of period where as the sun goes, the temperature has a nice drop to it, doesn't it? Won't be long now, will it? So you get that sort of autumn feel. I love autumn. There's something great about that, isn't there? We're talking about autumn. That was a good segue, and that wasn't intentional. You come into the autumn of your life. Do you know, and you feel. I had this thing, as I was saying on the ride up here, about someone saying, you're doing this, all these things on the bike. How do you do that? And you suddenly realise, as the church bells ring, they know two were riders on the green, is that there comes a point where you suddenly realise what you could do 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, is not what you could do now. And it really got brought home to me, you know. And it seems in such a short space of time, really. And I'm going to bring in the trip that I did last year, you know, we're going through France and Spain into Morocco and all the rest of it, North Africa. That I did some filming, which is all linked to stay with it. So the other day, I took the Meteor, which the Meteor's now been sold. Yes, I'll come back to that in a minute. So I took the Meteor down to Sykes Enfield, which is down in Lower Dicker, no jokes please, down in East Sussex, sort of on the way to Eastbourne, because they were doing the valve clearance for me. So, and we arranged on the same day, they had it overnight, so we arranged on the same day that I'd take the Bullet 650 out, which, check that, because that's going to be Saturday's episode, really interesting. Quite shocked by that bike, and you'll see why when you watch the video. So I took the bike out. There's about a 50-mile ride to get there. Nice mile. I went fairly early in the morning, picked up the Bullet, spent most of the day riding that, and filming, and it was getting really hot by then. And I had to sort of refilm a load of it because I got sort of interrupted and it all got a bit pear-shaped, so I had to sort of refilm some stuff. And so I then went back to the dealer, and then they gave me the new Hunter to ride, to take home overnight. which was intentional because some people have said when I did the three-way comparison and we had the Hunter, the GB350 and the band term, I said, oh, you should try the new Hunter because there's lots of better bits on there. And so I thought, right, I'll do that. But I won't spoil the surprise. But yes, that's another sort of review. Well, it was more, not like a direct review, but it's more of a comparison between the sort of original version and the latest one. And there is a marked difference. So worth watching that. But so I don't know, about 120 miles a day. I rode 3 bikes, did 130 miles. And so what I did, I finished the filming on the Bullet, picked up the Hunter, rode that home. I came back in the night to offload all the filming I did from the Bullet onto my computer, and then cleared all those and then took the Hunter out to do the back-to-back sort of review thing. So I filmed again and then I came back and offloaded all the rest of it. It's like, by the end of that day, I was absolutely knackered. I really thought, I can't work like this anymore. I love it and I love doing it, and I think it keeps you alive, doesn't it? There's something wonderful about being absolutely knackered at the end of the day and you think you've really achieved something. But what I've now realised, it wasn't so much the brain power part of it, because I think you really need that. It was the physical effort of riding those bikes and doing that in the heat and all the rest of it. And I remember I really wanted to stop. I was on the Hunter. There was nothing wrong with the Hunter itself, but I was so aching. Oh God, you're back. I'm done. I just wanted to stop, even like 3 miles from home. I just wanted to stop, and I got to a side point. I thought, do you know what? I'm so close. I just pushed on, and it was a little bit reminiscent of when I did the trip to Morocco and that. I can remember coming back and doing that last day's ride from Andorra all the way back home to Brantom. It was something like 450 miles. And I can remember getting into that, coming into the village and thinking, my God, if someone showed me a bed now, I'd stop even half a mile from home. And I said this before to people, I said, you should know your limitations. There's that thing where you just think, my God, I was so damn tired. And I think, how the hell did I do 450 miles that day from essentially an ice cold freezing Andorra, which it was. There was ice everywhere. It was like pretty amazing. And then to come into the amazing heat of Brantom. And I thought I went through all those different temperature zones and all the riding and stopping here and there. I don't even remember stopping that much. I remember stopping for fuel and stuff. I don't even remember stopping for food. It's bizarre, isn't it? And you feel invincible, don't you, that you can just do that. And at some point, your brain has told your body, or your body has told your brain, no, that's enough now. All right, that's enough. You can't do that anymore. And you think it's going to be something. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with you. That you've got an illness or something, and it's not. It's just bloody old age. It's old age. You've used yourself. I think Sherlock Holmes said once to what she said, I've been using myself a little bit too freely recently. Watson, that's what it feels like, isn't it? And I wonder if you've come to that point with some of your bikes. This thing, we've been looking at this thing where we're getting bikes. We want to get something smaller and lighter, haven't we? It says here he's just bought a flipping VT85. Well, I suppose it's lighter than a Harley by a few hundred kilos. But there's a thing that does that make you concerned that you're going to get to a point where you won't be able to ride anymore, that it won't be possible, that you won't be able to get it out of the garage and all the rest of it? And have you thought about that there will come a point just generally in life when you've got to think, I can't do that. I can't do that amount of activity without, some big effect on my life and on my physical life, because I've got so tired. I get this when I stand up too quick, I get dizzy, or this sort of stuff, and this happens quite regularly. I was on a postcard, but being a man, that thing is it's just got up too quick. Don't worry about it. It's not important. All the rest of it, And I'm one of those idiots that doesn't go for a checkup. I don't. I just plough on. And I think, no, I'm invincible. I know my body, and you do to a certain extent, innit? But when you're riding motorbikes, you don't have that fallback. And by that I mean, it is like a play on words, where if you're in a car, you're not expending that sort of energy quite so much, are you? But on a motorbike, you've got to be alert and aware. And I think there becomes a point when you might be a risk. And I think it's identifying that. And I've got to do that. I've got to identify when it's too much. I've got to stop and rest. And I go back out to France in September, and I'll be hoping to meet up with Chris and Peter and that. And that'll be my first stop anyway, probably. But I know I'm going to break it down into at least 2 nights now, where I used to just plough on and get down there. And I thought, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I don't want to take the risk. I want to be around to, to see more things and do more things. And I can only do that if I look after myself. I know my poor wife, Karen, tries desperately to look after me in those situations. But, you're just a man, aren't you? You just, no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Carry on. It's mad, and you've got to really look after yourself, haven't you? Really, when you get to a certain age, and know when your body's telling you something else. And I'd be interested to know if any of you got to that point, and if it concerns you, because this is an open forum, and you can air that stuff on the comments, because people read it and they like to. And if somebody else is in that situation, it's I think, oh yeah, I think I'm coming to the end of my riding life. How do I keep it going? What do I do? How do I fill that void? And retiring's been an important thing that we've been talking about, me and Karen, for a while now. But anyway, yeah. So that's that really. Interesting to think. Yeah, I know my limitation. I've said it before. 100, 120 miles. Done. I'm done. That's it. I don't need any more than that. I don't ride on motorways. I don't ride on toll roads. It's minor roads. Give myself plenty of time, plenty of stops. Enjoy it. Just enjoy the ride more this time. Don't worry about the mileage. Mileage isn't important. It's about enjoying the ride and actually the process of actually riding the bike. But yeah, there you are. So moving on slightly. So yeah, we had me and Mike. We went down to another old friend. We've been together, mates, since we were at school, and we know each other inside out. And we're quite a laugh. And we went down to the Ardingly Bike Jumble on Sunday, and it was lovely. It was a nice, cool ride out. And we just went down there. Mike was on his Bonneville, and I took the Meteor. Because after I had the valve check done, it was so smooth. You don't realise that it wasn't running rough, but it's just really. I thought, geez, this is smoothed out a little bit. Really nice. So I thought I'd take the Meteor, because I couldn't be asked to get anything else out because it was outside. And I thought, well, I'll get a little sheet of paper and I'll just put for sale on it, and what I wanted for it, and the mileage on it, and a few bit of details. Within an hour, you park it in a sort of compound where people can walk around anyway and have a look, and people do look. It was just an afterthought, Within an hour, someone phoned me up while I was there. I said, "Oh, I'm by the Meteor. I'm interested in it." So I walked back over, and we came to a deal, and we were happy. So I'm going to drop it. It's nice. So he's not in any rush. So he's going to deposit. He's actually not far from where I work in Chertsey. So I'm going to drop it out to him. He's going to run me to the station, and I'll get back. So that was really great. So yeah, the Harley's gone and the Meteor's gone. It's all sorted. So I was over the moon. So it's not that I have got more space, but not to put more bikes in it. I've got the space now for the new Gutsy to go in there when I pick that up, probably in another week or so, because there's no rush with it. I don't need to worry about that. And the idea now is to take the Stornello down to France, and I'll bring the Classic 350 back in September. So that'd be interesting. That's why I want to take a few more days, because the Stornello's not going to be as comfy really to ride that distance as like the Meteor was, and the Classic 350. So that should be interesting. That's going to sit down there during the winter this year, and I'll bring the Classic 350 back and we do some more content with that. And we may do a little bit of touring, but the idea, as I think I've said already, is to take that Gutsy, the V85, maybe up to Scotland in October, possibly. If I've got any holiday, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure I have. I'm going to work it out. But yeah, so that should be interesting. But the Hunter, getting on this again, riding this, I just realised how nicely this is set up now, with all the bits that we did to it, with the bar risers and things, and it just rides really nice, really nice. It's such a cool bike.
I know someone's pulled up behind me. I'm always slightly interrupted, but I just carry on anyway. But I don't know, I just love the colour of this bike. But it'd be interesting, you watch the comparisons and the difference. I've devised what's called the Stornello test, which you might find entertaining, because you know I never take myself very seriously. But yeah, you'll see that. I think that's everything for the Wednesday Bike Club today. It was only a fairly short one. I don't know how long I've just been rattling on for. But it looks like we've got some nice weather again, and we're avoiding the rain for a minute, although this cricket field looks parched, to say the least. We had a garden party at my mum and dad's, and yeah, that was really parched, their garden. That's what I was going to say. I knew there was something else. At the Ardennais bike jumble, there was 3 bikes that I really, really liked. I saw there right on my street. There was this fantastic Triumph flat tracker there. It was the sort of bike that would have competed against the Harley XR 750 in the day, but beautiful bike, beautiful. That was in the sort of show bit, and there was a lovely Rudge. I sort of like that really old, almost sort of military pre-war style. And there was another one which I can't remember what make it was. Vincent, was it? No, it wasn't a Vincent. It was something like that. And again, big sort of fat tyres on it. Gosh, both from the same sort of era, great. But that one was nearly £9,000, I think. I think the Rudge was, no, the Rudge was expensive, and I think the other one wasn't quite so much. But beautiful bikes. I really like that style. But you know, as I've said already, I don't think my age and that will cope with that. I'd have to have someone to start it for me so I could go ride it. Anyway, that was those bits anyway. Right, look after yourselves. Take care, ride safe, enjoy the weather, and I'll see you on Saturday on the Bullet 650. See you then.